Peace. From many descendants of African slaves, uh, and then coming into the traditional Islam, Sunni Islam, um, we tend to not properly understand certain things of the Arabic language that is in the reading. So, for example, my two oldest sons, um, because I was a person who always used to listen to like certain reciters. My favorite was Abdul Basit. My cousin Rest his soul gave me a whole collection of him reciting from beginning to end. But you always knew that from like I believe it might have been a certain Islamic fiqh books. I believe that this term, when God says kiramin katibin, when God says that, we was taught and we read that these are the angels that are writing down your good and your bad, and the actions you do, good or bad. That's who they are. So, being a Sunni, my first son, because also you gotta understand, like in our culture, we do try to come up with names for our children that is like different from the normal name. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We try to come up with names that's different than the normal names. So we might be using the name might be wrong, but because the way it sounds, um, uh, we like to use names like that. For example, my oldest name is Kiraman. Like that term, Kiraman, Katibin. Kiraman means like noble, honorable, right? My teacher, rest his soul, Akbar Muhammad, he was asking me about this. He goes, "Why is your son named Kiraman?" Kiraman is plural. So I never knew that. You know what I mean? So Kiraman is plural. His name should be Kiram, right? That's what his name should be, Kiram. But like I said, like the name Kiraman sounds like it sounds like an ill name. So I gave him that name. Not knowing that until years later, but now I know. Then my second son, his name is Katibin. His mother I wanted to name him. He was the first out of our kids, from my brothers and sisters, to be born right after the death of my brother Uthman, rest his soul. So I wanted to name him Uthman. But his mother didn't want to, because since I already named the first one, she wanted to name this one. So, but his middle name is Uthman. But anyways, she named him Katibin because she wanted to go with Kiraman. So we would have Kiraman, Katibin, right? The noble, the honorable scribes. Come to find out years later, that I got clarity that the noble scribes are the people that was writing down the reading. You know what I mean? There was people who was writing down the reading. They're getting it from the messenger and they're writing it down. That's who Kiraman Katibin is. But also, he told me my son Katibin is also, again, plural. His name shouldn't be plural. It should be Katib. But not knowing, we didn't know. We don't know. A lot of us don't have like. We just don't know the Arabic language. We know a little bit of it. You know what I mean? From like, because you have to say when you do those salat and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You gotta speak certain Arabic phrases and things like that. Like you gotta say shukran, thank. Instead of saying thank you, say shukran. So let's say you're welcome, afwan. You know, salam alaikum. So it's saying peace, you gotta say salam alaikum. So it's saying peace to you. And that's even plural. Salam alaikum. It should be salam alaikum, which is if you're talking to somebody singular. It should be assalamu alaikum. It should be salamu alaikum. But if you're speaking to people 2 or more, it should be assalamu 3 or more. It should be assalamu alaikum. because that plural. You know what I mean? But even the Arabs do that though. But they say you could talk in the plural. That's what they say. So anyway, neither here nor there. Get back to my topic. So yeah, so those are the names of two of my sons, and that lost in translation. Another thing, my older sister, Jathia. There's a lot of African American descendants of slaves, Sunni Muslim. There's a few. You'll see a few with the name Jathia. You know what I mean? That's like that could be common amongst that group, Jathia, right? Now, in the reading, they have titles. Even though I don't think those titles ever did, that's something that they made up. But they got these titles. You know what I mean? It's like a good I guess it could be good for references, but they got these titles up there. One of these titles is called Jathia, right? It's called Jathia. And they translate the word, after it, so you know what it means. And they write it down as the kneeling. Some write it down as the kneeling, as if you're kneeling to pray down, right? Or bended knees. But that word, if you go to the reader and you listen to it, you know how they got the Arabic and then the English when they recite. It goes, for example, it'd be like Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Then it'd be like, they'll say the beneficent, but it's really Ar-Rahman is the Almighty, the Almighty, the merciful. Then it goes again. Then the person says it in English. Maybe a reciter and the person, you know what I mean? So, I lost my train of thought. What was I doing with that? Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, you will hear that word Jathia. And some people will learn how to do the tajweed and stuff like that. Amongst our people, they will learn the tajweed and stuff like that. But this word Jathia sounds like a nice name, right? It sounds like a nice name. So that's probably why my parents chose that name. But in the context of the mandate, when you read in the mandate, in the context this word Jathia comes in is negative. It's always negative. God talks about the people in hell. There will be Jathia on bended knees or kneeling, whatever. You know what I mean? Then we have another proof where God says, we would gather the Satans and the people together in the hell. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not saying it verbatim. We would gather the Satans and the people in the hell. Jathia, on bended knees. So this term Jathia, because I got clarity now in my days of studying and having clarity and being guided, really guided, that this term Jathia has a negative connotation all around it, but it sounds nice. You know what I mean? The Arabic is not our language. That sounds nice. So yeah, that word is always used negatively, non-positive about that word Jathia. Even though they make it seem, by the title, they make it seem like it's positive. But when you read in the English and you see bended knee and you don't know that word is Jathia, you're not going to think nothing of it. And then when you hear the word Jathia, right? If you hear the word Jathia, whatever, and you don't know the context, how that word is being used, you're not gonna know. So that's another thing that gets lost in translation. Another thing that gets lost in translation is my oldest son. This is why you gotta sift through these translations. It just be so horrible. These translations, a lot of these translations be so horrible. The best translation I could find is Sam Garrett's, because it's kind of more honest with the words and not like using a religion to manipulate the words to fit the realms of that religion. That's what all the translations pretty much do. Well, he don't remember this, but we had this conversation. I was telling him about the sun and the moon and stuff like that. These proofs of God. Like, don't believe in this fake outer space and things like that. And he said, I said, because the moon is a light. It doesn't absorb the sunlight and it doesn't reflect it. It's its own light. He was trying to tell me that it wasn't, that it reflects the sunlight or whatever. Then he said, it says it in the Quran, in the reading. I said, no, it don't. I've been through the reading tons of time, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is how I do my research. I get a topic and I go through beginning to end on that particular topic, whether it's a word or a concept. I go through beginning to end and find anything that is relatable to that concept so I could get a correct understanding. So God calls the moon a nur. A nur. Anywhere in the reading, you see that word nur, it just means light. That's it, light. Nur. Whether it's Munir, Nur, or whatever, however you want to spell it and the way you want to say that, it always means light. So my son told me, the in the Quran it says it's a derived light. I told them, I don't care what that is, what they tell me, that's not correct. The word, this is not a word that is that you have to have other words to understand what this word means. You know what I'm saying? There's certain words that is pretty much like a phrase, and there's certain words that is just a word. This word here, nur, is just one word. It's not a phrase. So they saying this is a derived light, and they translate it like that. I've seen that before. They translate it as a derived light, so they could fit NASA fake hadith, or they fake information, right? They fake hadith, NASA fake hadith, the information that they have about the fake outer space that they brainwash people with. So I try to let him know, when you look at the moon in the daytime, while the sun is always out, except for at nighttime. The sun runs through the day. Whether it's cloudy, the sun is still out. Then because the cloud leaves don't mean the sun came out. The sun been out. It's been up there doing what it's doing. You know what I mean? Living its life. So when the sun and moon, because the moon travels in the day and night. The sun travels only in the sun. The sun only travels in the day. So when the moon is out in the day with the sun, the moonlight is dim. It's very dim. It's dull. It's dull. That's the nature that the moonlight is in the daytime. It's dull. Then the nature of it at nighttime is that it brightens up. That's what it does. It brightens up. It's its own light. It's a revolving light. That's why you have the phases. So I had to let my son know, no, that word is not there. That's something they put there to fit NASA's fake science. So, and they use other words to manipulate words, so you could think this word is what that is. Like zakat is a tax, but it's not a tax. Peace.